Welcome to Let's Talk Business Phoenix, the Greater Phoenix Chamber's podcast. I'm your host, Todd Sanders, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Chamber. Each week, we tackle key issues affecting businesses, the community, and state, aiming to drive growth and overcome challenges while uniting community leaders to move Phoenix forward.
Let's Talk Business Phoenix was produced in partnership with Ideas Collide, an agency offering a full suite of custom marketing solutions for your brand's unique challenges. Make a connection at ideascollide.com.
Welcome back to the podcast. We have a very special guest today. We have Maricopa County Sheriff Jerry Sheridan, who's joining us today. Thank you, Sheriff, for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, I think kind of you're new in the job and not new in law enforcement, but maybe before we get to that, talk to us a little bit about you, your story, and maybe something about you that we wouldn't find on your bio.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in New York City. My dad and two of my uncles were New York City cops.
Thinking about that Pace commercial, the New York City get a vote.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But now here I am as your sheriff, wearing a cowboy hat. So I joined the sheriff's office in January 1977 when I was 18 years old, and I worked there for 40 years. And I worked my way up from a volunteer, an officer in the jail, and then 38 years as a deputy sheriff, and worked my way up from basically a patrol car to the chief deputy.
You've done it all.
I've done a lot, and I've seen a lot over those years. And so I got elected sheriff.
Congrats.
In November of 24. Thank you. And so I'm relatively new sheriff. I've been here about, a little over 5 months. Mm-hmm. And it's been great, and it's really nice to be the person in charge, finally.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, enough time in the trenches so that you can make those calls.
I did. I spent about 17 years in a patrol car.
So tell us something about yourself that we wouldn't find on your bio that people might not know.
Okay, well, I've been married 37 years to Stacy. We have horses and dogs, and we rescue horses and dogs also. And one of the other things probably people don't know is I'm a large format fine art photographer. I have a dark room at the house. I do all my own film developing.
So not digital.
I do not own a digital camera other than my Apple phone.
Oh, cool.
Right? Yeah. So I do it all old school.
Well, and to have those, I remember back in the day, the dark rooms, and you don't know what you're going to get until you expose it and go through the process.
Right.
Well, I love that. Excellent.
Yeah. It's a little bit unnerving sometimes when you travel and you expose the film and you don't see what you have until you come home.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know my kid went on a trip when he was back in grade school, and we gave him a disposable camera, and we told him, like, you only have 15 pictures, and it didn't make any sense to him. Like, that's it, and get them right, because that's it.
Well, the thing about it is we love to go to Death Valley. We go there about once a year for a week, and I may shoot 1 or 2 images a day.
You're looking for that perfect shot.
I'm looking for that perfect shot. And I've got the kind of camera, it's a large format, 8x10.
Yeah.
It's a kind that where you put the dark cloth over your head and you look in the camera. Yeah, so it's quite a labor of love, and it makes you slow down and really compose the image on the ground glass.
Well, I didn't expect that. Definitely, our sheriff's a Renaissance man. I love that. That is fantastic. You talked about your experience, and obviously you've had a lot of experience in this field, but talk to us maybe about sort of your approach to leadership and why you decided to run for the office.
Okay. Well, my approach to leadership is very simple. I report only to the people of Maricopa County. There's 4.6 million people, and I consider each and every one of them my boss because I'm an elected official. And that's the one great thing about being a sheriff, is because you're elected. Mm-hmm. And you don't report to the city manager or the mayor or the governor, okay? You report only to the people. So my leadership philosophy is simple also. Is I work for all the people at the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, and we're supposed to have 4,006 employees. So their job is they report to the people also. Their job is to take care of people, whether you work in the jail You're responsible for the safety and security of the prisoners in jail, and the deputies are responsible for the safety and security of the people that they serve. And the sheriff's office is the primary law enforcement responder for the people outside that live outside the city limits, and there's about 500,000 of those people. So
Significant.
we have a significant law enforcement function also.
So obviously it was a big decision, I'm sure. Probably you and your wife had to think about this idea that you're going to run for sheriff. What prompted you to do that?
The people at the sheriff's office asked me to run. They knew what kind of leader I was because I retired as the chief deputy in 2016, and they wanted me to come back. And they're the ones that convinced me to run. Because I have a nice retirement after 40 years, as you can imagine. I have a cabin up north. I have a lot of things. A very intense hobby of the photography, like I mentioned. So I didn't need the job.
You weren't looking for a job.
I was not looking for a job. They asked me to run.
Well, it's quite an honor.
It was. And the reception I've gotten so far in the last 5 months has been well worth the effort of running for office. And I would not recommend that to anybody that has thin skin or doesn't want to put the time in.
I agree. More and more, it's hard to justify that. And I think when people do run, it's because it's service. It really, truly is service.
Yeah, and with me, there's no doubt about that. It's not about the money. I made twice as much as the chief deputy as I do the sheriff.
Absolutely. So thinking about, you talked about the fact that this is one of the, this is such a large area and we're one of the largest metros in the country. Got to have some unique challenges. What have been some of the biggest challenges, or that you're as you come into the office that you're seeing?
Well, when you think about it, Maricopa County is the fourth largest county in the country as far as population is concerned. We're 9,224 square miles. We're bigger than 5 states and bigger than several states combined. And with that population, most of the people are concentrated in the city areas. So it is also very rural. When you think about it, the southern part of Maricopa County is about 30 miles from the Mexican border, okay? We go all the way out to maybe 60 miles to the California. And if people are familiar with the valley here, Four Peaks, right? They're about 8,000 feet. That's the eastern part of the county border. And we go all the way up almost to Black Canyon City. So it's huge responsibility. It's very diverse communities in there that we serve.
When you think about the workforce, though, what kind of workforce do you have to cover such a broad area?
Well, that's a great question because one of the big problems that I have is the lack of personnel.
Okay.
So I'm short about 130 deputies, and I'm short 900 detention officers. So our big focus since I took office in January is to get the recruiting going and getting people out there to bring on detention officers and deputies and dispatchers. Those are the 3 areas where I have problems hiring people.
And, as I talk to business owners and business leaders, they talk about the fact that it's tough right now. It has been tough to find people, to hire people. I'm assuming probably you're seeing some of the same challenges, and especially with law enforcement, there's more challenges in terms of the job. And so is that an issue for you as you look to bring people onto the force?
It certainly is, but since I took office, the recruiting has been going very well. Matter of fact, on Monday, 2 days ago, we started a class with 70 recruits in there. We've got another class with at least 50 in there now, and by the time the class is ready to go, we probably will have 60 or more. So the word has gotten out that leadership is the key to law enforcement recruiting. It has a little bit to do with money, and the salaries that we're able to pay them. They didn't want to work for weak leadership. And so I bring strong leadership, and the best recruiters I have are the current employees that know, right? So they have their friends and family. And I talk to each one of these classes as they come in, and I always ask them, why are you here? Why are you sitting in here in this class for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office? And I'd say maybe a quarter of them at this point say, oh, my family works here, my neighbor works here. They say it's a good place. And I hope as time goes on, that number gets to be more significant. Half the class will say that.
So how long, if you come in on a class, for instance, a class hears from you, what's the process in terms of time to complete the academy process?
Well, for detention, it's 10 weeks, and for deputy sheriff, it's 5 months. So it's maybe 60 weeks.
Significant investment of time.
Yeah.
And in that time, I'm assuming while you're training, you are getting paid. So that's that's an inducement as well to keep you in the system. And as far as people listening to us right now, thinking, hey, I would like to work for that organization. What's the best way to go about that?
They can go on our website, mcso.org, and they can find out. We're always hiring.
Okay.
And so they can come in for an orientation or just come in whenever they can and talk to a recruiter.
Excellent. Well, you mentioned detention, and obviously, given such a large system and the operations, the continuation of the jail tax is something that I know we've been paying attention to. Can you speak to that, Sheriff?
Oh, absolutely. That's a big deal. Matter of fact, right before I came here, we had a discussion about the budget process for next year, and the county cannot count on the $340 million that we get from that fifth of a cent sales tax that basically funds about 3/4 of our jail system.
So significant.
It's a significant amount. And so I was talking with my chief financial officer, and they said the county doesn't want a budget for that because it's going to be on the ballot in November of 26, and they can't count on that because that jail tax expires at the end of next year. And we were trying to figure out how do you budget for the county missing $340 million. That's a big chunk of money. So it's going to be quite the challenge, and we'll make a big push. I know I will, as time gets closer, to inform the public how important it is for us to have this public safety jail tax.
So if it
extended.
If it goes away, what would be the impact to our system?
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine because I'm already 900 officers short. I'm about 130 deputies short, and we can't cut any more current positions. I mean, we're barely limping along in the jail system. Mm-hmm. And the deputy sheriffs out there in the field are working pretty much half of their staffing on each one of the substations. And so it becomes a quality of service issue. And
everyone wants service when they call.
Well, when you're calling 911, you want somebody to answer the phone, and we're half staff in our dispatch center. And you want a deputy sheriff to be able to arrive relatively quickly. And when you're at 50% staffing, it's difficult now. I couldn't imagine cutting any more staff. So I would think, now I don't know, I'm not a financial guy, but I would think that other areas of the county would suffer greatly because public safety is the number one job of government, and public safety with Maricopa County is the sheriff's office and the county attorney's office.
So I think it's also important to note that this isn't a new tax. No. This is a continuation, correct?
This tax started in 1998. It had a sunset for 10, 12 years, and then it was renewed, and now it's up again to sunset at the end of the year of 26.
And a track record of making really good investments in public safety.
Oh, absolutely. We built new jails with that. We have hired personnel, and that's the biggest expense in any business is staffing. And the jail system is 75% of what the sheriff does. A lot of people don't realize that.
And as far as the jail system itself is concerned, I mean, it has so many different applications in our society. I think one of those too is if there are folks that are out there with mental health issues. So you're doing a lot more than originally intended with
Right.
that system, correct?
Right, absolutely. It's probably safe to say that we run one of the largest mental health hospitals in the state. And that's a sad commentary because a lot of the people do come in, they have mental health issues, they have drug issues because they're self-medicating, and it's a very sick population that we deal with in the county jail. And the correctional health function doesn't work for me. They work for the county, but they're in there. They have the doctors and the nurses, and we work very closely together in our psych unit.
You're that first stop in many cases, I'm sure.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of them get arrested for relatively minor cases, but the severe mental health issues, we call them SMIs. So it is something that the public is pretty much not aware of.
Absolutely. You've obviously been involved in very high-profile cases, very complex cases. How do you sort of manage the sort of public perception and the legal side of those kinds of questions?
Well, that's a great question right now because we just had a rash of homicides, and again, my homicide unit is at half staff, and so they're working 3 days in a row. Matter of fact, just this week, we had to send some deputies home to take a shower because they were starting to stink because they'd been out for 3 days solid, no change of clothes, trying to track down the perpetrators of these homicides. So it's quite an undertaking.
How can, you talk about the fact that you started as a volunteer. How can the community support what you do or become involved with your efforts?
Again, they could go to mcso.org, and we have a very good posse program where you can volunteer and you can be a beginning posse member and maybe help at the substations, file paperwork, that kind of thing. Or you can be intermediate where you can go out and get certain training to help the deputies out in the field. And then the third phase would be fully qualified, what we call qualified armed possemen, QAP, where they wear the same uniform as the deputy sheriff, the firearms. They go through the same use of force training and firearms training as the deputy sheriff does. And that takes about 6 to 8 months for them to complete that. And then once they get past some field training, they can run what we call king cars, where they can go out by themselves or with another posse member and help deputies do that. And probably one of the biggest things they can do is when a deputy arrests somebody, is that they can take that prisoner off their hands and take them down to the jail.
Nice. And free them
That way it keeps the deputies in their area of responsibility. It's great for public safety. And we have some of the best training. We screen our posse members very well, and we're looking to build that back up.
Well, what a tremendous resource and opportunity for folks.
It is. And most of the posse members are very successful business people, and they want to do something for their community, or maybe they thought they'd want to be in law enforcement, but they make way too much money to stop what they're doing and join the sheriff's office as a full-time employee. So that they're out there helping, doing good. They're feeling good about it, and they're helping their community.
Absolutely. Well, and you mentioned the business community. Besides getting into this program, what else can the business community do to support you, Sheriff?
Well, they can support. We have, like the Phoenix 100 Club. We also have our own at the sheriff's office, the Sheriff's Memorial Fund. They can always donate to that. They can get on the board and help the Memorial Fund raise money, and we support the Memorial Fund supports law enforcement officers all across the state. It's not just for MCS.
Okay, so it's broader than that.
It's much broader than that, right?
Okay.
Somebody gets sick or hurt and they're out of work for a while, they donate money to the families so they can make their house payments, that kind of thing.
Oh, it's a lot of need. You mentioned, I think we're on month 6 for you. What What are some of your what are your top priorities for the next year?
Well, obviously, staffing is number one. And also, fentanyl is a crisis here in Maricopa County. We lose about 6 people a day on average to drug overdoses. 4 of those are attributed to fentanyl. 50% of the fentanyl coming into the United States comes in through Arizona. Most of that comes in through the Vico Valley, which is in Maricopa County. So having deputies out there fighting the cartels is very critical, and we're putting that team together to get them out there. They're not out there full-time right now, so that's a big goal that we'll have accomplished in the next month or so. So that's a big issue. Animal cruelty is a big issue with me.
Good.
I have horses, and I've adopted horses, rescued horses, and also dogs. And I have 4 dogs at home, and 2 of them are rescues. And so this is a big thing with me personally. And I've established the only full-time animal cruelty unit in the county. And I got a call the other day from one of the detectives on that unit, and he wanted to know if it was okay if we did a case that was in Buckeye, inside the city limits. And I said, absolutely. I'm the sheriff for the entire county, and those dogs need to be rescued, and the person needs to be put in jail that has abused them.
Good. Well, it's such an important part of our lives, and to have that those animals obviously didn't do anything, they didn't deserve it, and they should be protected too.
And, people that abuse animals, they're very prone to abuse their family also. Yeah. So we train the deputies when they go out there on these calls to make sure the family's not also being abused, and if they are, then we need to deal with that issue too. Yeah. So one of the other things is a big priority with me, we kind of talked about it a minute ago, is building up the posse, because they are really force multipliers for us, for those deputies out in the field. And I was did an operation, I went out there on Saturday evening out in Tonopah, and half of the staff there were posse members and half were deputy sheriffs. So they really help us do our job.
Well, a good way to give back to the community.
Absolutely.
Well, I know I shouldn't ask this question because I can't imagine what you would tell me, but what keeps you up at night? As you list everything out, I can't imagine what it would be. But
well, I sleep really well at night, and my dad, he's 94, he's a retired lieutenant in NYPD. He says that's because we have clean consciences. But what keeps me up at night is one of my people getting hurt.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, that's always something in the back of my mind.
Mark of a good leader. What gives you hope in the morning when you wake up, and confidence and optimism?
I love my job. I love to go to work every day. And I think that was what my claim to fame was in my 40-year career. Mm-hmm. And getting promoted up through the ranks, as people saw that in me. I loved my job no matter what I was doing, whether I was in the jail, walking a cell block with a bunch of felons, or out 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning walking an alleyway because I heard a noise. And I loved what I was doing. And now as a sheriff, it's even better because I have no bosses telling me what to do except the public perception and the people that send me nice messages or send me nasty messages, but I try to respond to all of those.
Good. We'll do a quick lightning round. Sheriff, what was your first job?
I was a busboy at IHOP.
Awesome. What'd you learn?
I learned that I had to work hard and work faster, especially like on Sunday mornings when people are coming in, and not lollygag around.
Well, everyone should work customer service because you learn so much, and clearly you've taken that, the work that you do today, working for other people. First car.
First car was a kind of a long story, but I'll tell you real quick. After the busboy job, I got a job as a waiter in New York City at the most popular seafood restaurant in the city, and I made a ton of money. I bought myself a 1976 Dodge Power Wagon. I think I was the only kid in New York City that had a four-wheel drive
I
truck.
believe you are. too prevalent in New York City.
Yeah.
Did you love that car?
I loved it.
That's awesome.
I dream about getting another one.
Yeah. What color?
It was orange and white.
Perfect. And then finally, what's your pet peeve?
People that work for the government that act like bureaucrats.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like my people acting like bureaucrats. Good example is if you take a phone call and you don't know the answer, instead of saying, well, I don't know, and let me transfer you to somebody else. No. You either take their number, put them on hold, find the answer, and you deal with them directly.
It's back to customer service.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, Sheriff, thank you for being here. Thank you for keeping us safe and for the work you're doing to make sure that so that we can sleep well at night.
Well, thank you. And public safety is the number one role of government. And I play a key role of that here in Maricopa County. And I'm honored to be the sheriff for 4.6 million people. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to address some of those people.
Thank you, Sheriff, and we'll look forward to working with you on the jail tax continuation.
Absolutely. Please do.
All right.
Thanks for watching this episode of Let's Talk Business Phoenix. Please take a moment to tap the follow or subscribe button for more great podcast episodes to help your business thrive.